Hello, this is Gene. I thought for a couple days whether I was going to take any or do the video on this topic, which you'll see in the headline. I'm not really sure what I'm going to call it yet, but it's obviously related to the terrorist attack in Paris. But I'm going to look at it a different way than some of the other people online have done. Um, I will say up front that after 9/11, part of me wanted to blow up the Middle East, even though I was very liberal. Then after that, I started thinking about maybe that we were part of the problem. Um, it was Bin Laden had said that he had told us to get out of there, and then eventually we never got out of that region. And a lot of people on the left said that we got what we deserved for never basically not leaving the region. I never went that far, but I was left of center back then, and I did believe that there was something to it, that the America, United States, was a factor, not the cause of what happened, but a factor in it. But as I get older and I look at more things and realize that no matter what we do, we will always be considered the white Satan, the Satan, and their driving force is to eradicate those who believe in a certain type of life. I don't consider myself a Christian, but those who that live that type of lifestyle, and as well as the Jews that they hate, and they want to basically get rid of us one way or the other. Um, at first, what they're doing now is more of a fear type of thing, um, but they have a long game, and I'm going to talk about that today. These things have been out there for a while. People on the left have looked at it and said it's just a bunch of right-wing lunacy. Um, but in order to be honest on both sides, you have to realize that this is what they're doing. It may not affect me, may not affect my sons and my daughters, but it is going to affect us uh, that over time. Um, the problem is most mainstream media will not talk about this, um, so I'm going to talk about it, and I will say this, that the one person that kind of opened my eyes, even though I knew it was going on, I'd seen these things before. I had seen videos, what I'm going to talk about before, similar to how I felt about when Maddow talked about the pay gap years ago. Meet the Press. I had a revelation because when I look back at that video, I look at it now and from the other side, and I've kind of gone that way with some of these videos I looked at 6, 7, 8 years ago, saying how stupid or how paranoid it was. I have to, before the Paris attacks, I was already going this way, um, and I hope. For years, stupid people on the right said the French were not good, like Bill O'Reilly and stuff. But France have always been our first defenders. They are big. They're a huge part of our history. My last name is French. My family, my ancestries is French, Belgium, and German. So I feel for what they're going through. And the person that really got me back into it was Devon Tracey, and I will link his channel. Now, obviously, he gets like over 50,000 subscribers with his 4 different channels. He has to keep having to change in his channels because he gets strikes on him because people don't like what he says. Um, and and also, I've kind of changed what I feel about Palestine um, based on his doggedness on this, and he continually talks about it, and you have to look at what he has to say, and when you do that, you realize that maybe what you thought was a little bit off. And so I salute him. And again, a lot of people know him already. He's a atheist Roo. He's a kangaroo when you see him. And he goes after everybody, and I like that he does that. And when there needs to be somebody to check some of the people out there, especially on the atheist side, like Jack and Glenn and the Amazing Atheist. But I'll go ahead and put her in the link below. So first time, what really got me really upset the last couple days was the G20 speech that President Obama had. I'm not saying that the entire street was bad, but there was a reporter, and I'll link it before down below as far as you can watch it. It was about 13 minutes in. They were asked some questions, and he basically said around 15/30th, he said that a handful of people who doesn't really care if they die or not, there'll always be issues like that. And he also talks about how the United States was trying to stop all these thousands of people that went into Europe and basically got their passports or became citizens and went back to Syria and now are radical jihadists. However, he doesn't think that it's a big deal about 100,000 that are coming to the United States. I want to look at it a little different, because a lot of people on the right is getting very upset about these cities that these refugees are going to go to. When the president says that certain things is a threat to our security, United States, I want to say all of Europe is a threat to our security. When Germany's president or chancellor or whatever they're called there, Merkel, allows over 1 million people come to the country that have not vetted, that are mostly around 80% are fighting age males that come into their country, and she basically says that that Germany is going to be a Muslim state in the next 20 or 30 years anyway, and we have to appease for what happened during the World War II with the Jews. And if you don't like that, you might go to jail, because there is no such thing as free speech 100% in Germany. If you talk about the Holocaust, your ass goes to jail. Whether you're just talking about it on a certain level, or you say that maybe we need to look at things, you go to jail. So Devon, I can't say his first name because of my issues. But anyway, Tracey lives in Germany. He's seen what's coming across the borders. He's seen what's happened locally with the rape gangs, not only in Germany but in Netherlands, Sweden, and people are afraid. So when I talk about the fact that Europe, they may do something now, okay, but the fact that Europe is not doing anything about the refugees going through, and all of them at some point maybe become citizens or have a passport or be able to go across Europe, and at some point be allowed to come to the United States. As I said before, this is a long game for Muslims. They have this where they're going to migrate to Europe, and at that same time, they're also going to breed out the native population. Now, we can get to semantics about who's really the native population of these countries, but I'm talking about historically, since man wrote down on paper. And I'm going to put some information in the links below about that. But what Pew a couple years ago did some research on Muslim and what they thought about Sharia law, and this was another part that we in the West, a lot of liberals would said, we'll never have Sharia law in this country, And we kind of laughed at it, saying we would never allow that to happen. And those who don't know who Sharia law is, basically um, eye for an eye. If you do something wrong, you steal something, they can take off your hands. If you're an adulteress, you can get stoned to death. But Pew, about 2 years ago, and I'll put that down below, talked about this. And the Muslim speaking world, those who believe in Islam in the Muslim world, which is almost everybody, over 50% of the 1.8 billion Muslims believed in some form of Sharia law. Now, you could say that's not radicalized, but any Western person would look at that and say that is the next level or the next step to the radicalization of somebody if they believe that. And also in that same study, and I'll put it down below, it also talks about, they asked the question, do you believe that martyrdom or suicide and bombing is okay? Now, it went from about, in some places where it was over 85% that were okay, they're okay with Sharia law, that it went down about 15% that they thought was okay. In some of the more modern Muslim countries, it went from like 50 that believed in Sharia law to about 3 to 4. Now, Ben Shapiro, and I'll put that below as well, has a video about this, and also Devon Tracey, and many of his videos talk about it, that if you just take it the smallest area. Now, I think that Ben Shapiro talks about from the Sharia area, and he talks about 800 million that believe in Sharia law, and then if you take of that, maybe 5 to 10 of those believe in martyrdom, that you were looking at over almost 100 million of people that could be considered jihadists. And we got to get our head out of the stands here. There's several documentaries. There's one that I put on here that's been mirrored because people are trying to knock it down, talking about their end game is in Europe to start. And this is, actually, I saw something like this like 10 years ago. And I didn't link that because I don't think that in that video that it was exactly right, because it talks about the Muslim population procreating about 1.1 or 8.1, and I think from what I looked at, and I'll put it in the links below, they're doing about 3.1, which is about twice as much as the native population. But you'll see in the video, people could say it better than me, talking that the imams that live in the West have free speech and says this stuff out in public, saying that they want to breed out the native population, that we will take your daughters and we'll make them all Muslims by having babies with them. This is their long game. And I know that the Libyan president, before he was killed, talked about this now. He said in 50 years that Europe will be a Muslim state. And it ain't happened at that same level here in this country, but our birth rates are lower. And this is the crazy thing, people like Trump want to take out the 12 million illegals here. Without the Hispanic population, we would be around that 1.6, 1.5 for each family. And right now we are about 2.1, which will keep our culture about the same. But if you get rid of the Hispanics, we're going to fall into the same areas. Canada is taking in a lot of immigrants, and so have we. So I do understand why a lot of people are upset about the refugees coming to this country. But it's funny because what you'll hear is that, what I've said before, is that a lot of them are men, fighting age men. And the question is, why are they coming to this country? They should be staying there to defend their country. And also, and I'll put it down there, some of the better, I'm not going to say progressive Muslim countries like Saudi Arabia, are not taking any of the refugees in. Why is that? And why does the Western Europe have to do that? And eventually, why does the United States have to do it? That makes no sense to me. But of course, they know, and I think I have a little thing that you can look at, that they know that there's a terrorist threat there if we allow them to come in. Now, I want to get back to about the whole men and stuff. Right now, people talk about we can vet them. We can't, because most of what happened is these people that have any type of information on have been burned in Syria. We don't know who they are. They can get passports very easily if they have the money. But the idea that just because of the men that we need to vet that we'll let the women come in, I'm going to put it down below. There's a video here of a woman who's reformed herself, goes on a TV show in Egypt, and this woman who is in a place of power in Egypt is on a video, or is on a TV show, and listen to what she has to say, that she believes in Sharia law. This is Egypt, which I would have said would be a little bit higher than some of these other ones as far as Muslim areas. And the other thing is, and I'll put it down below as well, that there have been hundreds, terrorist attacks by Muslims, and most of them are on their own people. And it's unfortunate. And so there's Muslims that know that they need to stop what's going on, and there are going to be people that are going to come out and condemn what's happened. But they're going to come out and say the same thing that we always hear, that Islam is a religion of peace. And anybody that's smart know that it's not. Just as the Torah, the Talmud, or the Old Testament was not about peace. Christians have gone through their Reformation. I don't think there's a willingness with Muslims to do that. When over 50% in Sharia law believe in Sharia law, it doesn't seem that way. In these places where these people come from, it's over 80 to 90% that they believe this. So when we talk about vetting, it's probably not possible. I'm not really sure what we can do. But we can't just keep our heads in the stand anymore. As a former liberal, in a lot of ways I still am a liberal. I don't know what the answer is here, but we just can't sit there and say, it's just these people. It's just a very small percentage of the people. And maybe it's only 3% that are actually going to actually do it, but when over 50% that believe that's how they should govern, that they believe that women aren't at the same level as a man, that they cannot be a driver, can be accused of anything and can be killed for it. If you're gay and you're found out, they throw you at the top of a building. I mean, there's a great guy that works for Breitbart, Mile Yiannopoulos. Of course, saying his name is not great, but I mean, he said something that, I'm a gay man in London. I don't want them coming here. And if you live in England, a lot of this, what you'll see in these videos is these are people, the imams that live in England, that they want to breed out the native population. They want Sharia law to come in. So this is right, that's across the street for him. And I know there are great people that I know, as I watch Manchester United, that are Muslims, that love watching United. And I would never say that those people are terrorists, because they're not. But certainly they know people that are in the same faith that look a little different, that think a little different than they do. And sometimes we need to govern our own and pull those people back from the prepuces. I mean, we've had about 1,000 of our own that have went over to Syria, people who live in the West, that have everything right there in front of them, but that they still get seduced to this. And so, will we ever be able to fix it? Can we breed? Can we go out and say we're going to have millions and millions of babies? Um, I don't know. But the fact is, we got to stop being appeasement to people that might say, look, we need to look at that. Just because I think that way doesn't mean I hate all Muslims. Um, I've always believed in the character of somebody before their ideology. However, if I can't vet you, and I don't think you need to come here, and if you're not, if people around you are not going to take you in, and if Europe is not going to do what it needs to do and allows them to have free reign, that they might come to me or come to my family or my relatives that live overseas, I have a problem with it. And um, it just needs to stop. They need to stop, but they never will. They believe that they're right. And I don't know what we can do. But just standing there and just putting your head in the stand isn't where it needs to be. You need to wake up, you need to talk to other people. I hate the fact that I'd have to go in some area to just spy on somebody, but you need to be more vigilant. And if you're a congressman or whatever side they're on, if they just don't really care, and it turns out, I mean, a lot of people believe that the Christian church is behind this. They're getting like $100 million or something for it. It's craziness. Oh, before I sign off, there are a lot of people that are upset because I guess some Republicans said that we should ask the people that come in whether they're Christians or not. Um, I don't think that's a bad question to ask. Now, will they actually say yes or no? There are Christians in the area, and again, I'm not quote unquote a Christian, that I would consider those would be the ones that were in the first or the most dangerous to be getting killed, because they live in the area like that. They don't normally put suicide pop packs on themselves and blow themselves up. Those would be the ones that I think should have asylum before anybody else. And crazy as this is, as much as I hate the guy, Glenn Beck is out there trying to help those people, trying to get them out of that area. And of course, he's doing it because he's a Mormon / Christian or whatever. Doesn't mean I don't rate one higher than the other. I think that they both come from the same area, and I just believe that Islam has just not had the reformation that it needs. But I don't know, that's all I had today. But there's a lot more stuff in the links below. You can look at that, and maybe you can get your own ideas what you should do. Also, check out Devon Tracey. His channel is Atheism is Unstoppable 4, and he'll probably have to go to Atheism Unstoppable 5 because he get strikes because people don't like what he has to say. But that's all I have today. Thank you for listening, and if you have any questions or any comments, please put it in the comments. I don't really care if you like or not what I do. I just do it. I had to get it out. You guys have a good day. Bye.